But good job. Stay woke.
Don't burn any bridges.
Yeah. Don't burn any bridges for yourself professionally, journalistically, integrity. Don't burn your bridges. Stay in school. Don't do drugs. Wait, who's Bama playing this week?
Nobody knows.
This is SportsZone.
Hello and welcome to another edition of SportsZone. We're kicking it off with the important stuff like we always do. I'm joined by Jessica in a bit of a smaller Studio 90 panel today, but that doesn't mean we won't be bringing the analysis. It's the Champions League week, so we're going to highlight some of those big matchups. The first games in the group play were played 2 weeks ago, so now we're into the second round of group play. And a couple marquee matchups in some of the bigger groups. We'll touch on those games. So we will start in the group of death, it seems, with Tottenham, Dortmund, and Real Madrid. That'll probably give us good games on every single match day. Tottenham and Dortmund played a pretty tight, pretty good game on match day one. This match day, we get Dortmund against Real Madrid. Jessica, Real Madrid has been struggling a little bit in La Liga, but do you think that when the Champions League comes, they'll be playing well enough to get the victory?
Yes, definitely. I mean, Dortmund is also doing really great right now, top of the table. I think Real Madrid is struggled a little at the beginning. You know, they won their last game, so I think that this week they're definitely going to step it up and try to secure it.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you. Real Madrid and Dortmund played a lot, it seems like, in the Champions League over the past couple of years, and bar the year that Dortmund went to the final with Robert Lewandowski, it seems like Real Madrid sort of had Dortmund's number and has had the upper hand in that matchup over the years. And they'll play two more times in the Champions League this year, so we'll see how that shakes out. Another big matchup, and it seems like a pretty tough group. Bayern Munich will be playing against PSG, new look PSG, with Edinson Cavani, Kylian Mbappe, and Neymar as their front three. Jessica, it seems like the moves in the offseason were made by PSG were made solely to compete in the Champions League. So this match will probably be a big indicator of how the season's going to go for them. How do you see this match going for them?
I definitely think that they can secure a win if the team really sorts out the problems they're having. I know Neymar and Cavani kind of clashed last game they had. I think that Bayern also is looking pretty good, so I guess it'll be interesting to see which way it goes because I can really see it going either way.
Yeah, I could see this one potentially could wind up being a fizzling sort of 0-0 type of draw, but you touch on an interesting dynamic that'll be something to watch going forward. The Cavani-Neymar drama over a penalty kick and a free kick in the league game over the weekend. They both wanted to take it. I think Dani Alves was taking the ball for Neymar, so that, rifts in the rank are not typically things you want to see with your team, but they've got great enough players that hopefully shouldn't be a problem for them. And then a final big matchup in the Champions League this week, Chelsea playing Atletico Madrid. These are two teams who also are fairly familiar with each other, and there's a lot of interesting storylines going into this game. Jessica, do you think the storylines going into this game will sort of be more significant than the quality of game on the field?
Yeah, definitely. To be honest, I don't think this is really a big match for me. I think it's going to be pretty boring.
Atletico Madrid and Diego Simeone sort of play that methodical defensive play, and Antonio Conte has not been afraid to play that way as well. The big storyline, it seems like, is the Diego Costa drama, as he wants to go back to Atletico Madrid and has signed maybe a pre-contract or agreed to a fee, but Atletico Madrid still has a transfer ban, so technically Costa can't join the team until the end of the year, it seems like. So there's a lot of storylines, as I said, bigger storylines possibly that'll provide more excitement than the game on the field, where Atletico Madrid is not afraid to play for a 0-0 draw, especially in the group stage where they don't necessarily need a victory. And I think before we sign off, I'll ask about a team who's having a bit of injury problems, and that's Manchester United. Paul Pogba has a hamstring injury that he'll be out for an extended period of time. That doesn't seem to have impacted them in the league at all, and their Champions League group also seems to be a pretty easy one. Jessica, do you think Manchester United will be able to cope with this long absence of their star player, Paul Pogba?
I definitely think so, especially considering I feel like he was one of the big transfers, and he definitely did not do as much as people expected him to do last season. So I think that him missing, while it will definitely hurt their offense, I don't think it's going to be something that really makes Manchester United struggle in this season.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. Manchester United joint top of the table in the Premier League on 16 points. They are free scoring goals as well. And I think before we sign off, just something interesting to keep an eye on in the Champions League. English teams have struggled in the past couple of years in the Champions League. That's been no secret. But on match day 1, 4 of their 5 teams were victorious. Liverpool getting a draw against a tough Sevilla team. It'll be interesting to see with this many English teams how they do in the competition going forward. But I think that's all the time we have for you on this edition of Studio 90. We'll bring more analysis maybe of the full-time results from the Champions League next week and kind of break down some of the results next time. But stick around for more SportsZone after this.
Welcome back to SportsZone. This is your favorite baseball segment, Getting to Third Base. I'm Aviva. I'm with Kristen today. Last week we talked about 4 teams that have already punched their ticket to the postseason. And this week we're going to talk about 3 that recently just got in. Boston Red Sox, the New York Yankees, and Arizona Diamondbacks have recently clinched. The Arizona clinched the wild card, NL wild card, and the Yankees and Boston is 5 games up of the Yankees right now, but they both clinched, so one of them's going to be the AL East winner, and one of them's going to be the first wild card team. So, talking about the Yankees, Kristen, since the Yankees are probably going to be the first wild card team, they're probably going to play at home. It looks like Minnesota, but they're I think 3 games above another team right now, but they're probably going to be the second one. What do you think are the chances that the Yankees are going to win?
So I think the Yankees definitely, they're in a position right now to be the host of the wild card game. And I think that plays heavily in their benefit that they're going to be at home. And I think that towards the beginning of the season, seeing them going for the wild card, I didn't think that they were going to win it if they got there. But now as the season has progressed, we've seen how successful they've been. We've seen Aaron Judge. He just hit his 50th home run of the season, which is a rookie record in the MLB. So I think that the Yankees, no matter who they end up going against, because in the wild card game you face the strongest pitcher of the opposing team, no matter who it is, you have a shot because you have Aaron Judge in the lineup. He's so powerful. He's such a big home run hitter that no matter what the situation is, and wild card games are normally low scoring, that he can put you ahead with one swing of the bat, tie the game, get you back into a game. So with him in there, I think the Yankees have a really good shot to win the wild card game and progress further into the playoffs.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it also is important that they're playing at home, and they've done so well at home that I think the fan base will definitely lift them up. Turning to another team, our local Washington Nationals, Bryce Harper is reportedly supposed to come back this week after getting hurt running to first base. He hurt his knee. So what impact do you think Bryce Harper will have on the Nationals since they're already making the playoffs?
So I think going into this last week of play, it's really important for the Nationals to hopefully have Bryce Harper back in the lineup before they get into the playoffs, just to see how he adjusts to being back from his injury. So I think that the time, even though it's a short amount of time, it's just a few games before the playoffs, I think that time is going to be really beneficial to him to just ease him back into it and get the team really going and all set and have all the pieces come together for the playoffs. That being said, I don't know how much of an impact he's really going to bring as far as pushing the Nationals to actually winning their first playoff series in the history of the team. Because in the past, we've seen that he's been there and it hasn't really propelled them far enough forward to get past the first round. So I think while having him back definitely completes the puzzle, I don't know if the puzzle as a whole works in getting them further.
Yeah, they have Zimmerman, they have Wirth. They're all people who've been hurt the entire season are all coming back now. So it's interesting to see how they're going to play out this last week before they go into the playoffs, and their pitching staff is really good as well.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see if they're going to compete with like LA Dodgers, who've done so well this entire season. Had a little rough patch, but they're doing well right now.
Yeah, swinging off of that,
yeah.
I would just say that I think that the Dodgers stacked up against the Nationals. I take the Dodgers, any day of the week for that. I think just even though that they had that rough patch, that they're a stronger team going forward.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see this last week. We have 7 more nights of baseball, and then the wild card games start next Tuesday. So next Monday we're gonna preview the wild card games and the start of the postseason. So this has been Getting to Third Base, and thank you for watching.
Hello, welcome back to SportsZone. This is our premier NFL segment, Going for Two. I'm joined alongside with Vince Salandro once again. I am Ryan Siegel. Vince, I know last week we talked on this segment about not many good matchups looking into it. Turned out we were very wrong on many levels. I'm going to start in Philadelphia with the NFC East divisional matchup. The Giants taking on the Eagles. Looked like the Eagles had the game on lock, 14-0 going into the fourth quarter, all the momentum. And then Eli Manning, in vintage Eli Manning form, puts up 24 points in the fourth quarter alone. And it was only for a Jake Elliott 61-yard field goal attempt that the Philadelphia Eagles walked out on top. Vince, can you say what happened at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia this weekend?
There's lots of momentum switches there for sure. You got Odell Beckham Jr. getting 2 touchdowns. He's kind of back off the mark. Eli Manning and that offense, which has looked kind of in shambles the first 2 weeks, finally showed forms of what it could look like. They looked like they were resurrecting this season. Then all of a sudden, like a typical New York Giants loss, when you really think about it, they were up by 3 with a minute left, and they conceded 2 field goals, like with under 65 seconds left. Just absolutely baffling. Hats off to Jake Elliott, 61-yard field goal. Not, every time we see 60-yard field goals now, it seems like it's in the thin air at Mile High Stadium. This was in Philadelphia, so he really got all of that one. And the Eagles, I will say the Eagles have looked really good the first 3 weeks of the season, so they might be a team to contend in that division.
I would have to agree. Carson Wentz has definitely been playing his best football, and now that he's got guys to throw the ball to, Alshon Jeffrey and Torrey Smith particularly, Nelson Aguilar having quite a season for himself, only 3 weeks in. Also, an unbelievable catch by Odell Beckham in the end zone, which led to by far one of the best celebrations we've seen under the now relaxed excessive celebration penalty. But enough with the Giants and the Eagles. That was a very fantastic game. Swinging to Thursday night, you had the NFC West, and by far the worst colors in the NFL color rush. You had the Rams in mustard yellow and the 49ers in all black. Still don't understand why that's the case. But 41-39, the Rams coming out on top. Jared Goff looking more and more like a professional quarterback every day. And with playing with Sean McVay, who pretty much turned Kirk Cousins into a premier quarterback. Vince, is this something we could expect from the Rams for the rest of the season?
Well, when you look at it, they've got Todd Gurley, who in a year where running backs are really struggling, he's performing really well. Jared Goff's performing pretty adequately. Sammy Watkins, we thought that going into the season, he might kind of flounder because Jared Goff is, we thought, a below-average quarterback, but he sort of elevated his play. And Sammy Watkins, he has a legitimate target there. The defense is good enough. They've got Aaron Donald, one of the best defenders in the league. And that division is pretty weak. The Seahawks are 1-2. You've got the 49ers that they just beat are not very good. So you really think that division's pretty wide open. And the Rams, they've played well. You don't want to draw conclusions from 3 weeks and then, at the end of the season, they lose the next 10 games and look silly. But Jared Goff's showing signs of improvement, and I think if they could get themselves to 8-8, that would be a win for them this season.
Yeah, especially in that division. In the past, you have been able to win that division at 7-9 and get a playoff home game. It'll be very interesting to see whether or not we actually get that as an outcome. So coming back to the East Coast, you had a come-from-behind win, a rematch of the AFC divisional round with the Houston Texans taking on the New England Patriots. You have to say, Deshaun Watson surprised many in Gillette Stadium. Ultimately, it led to a Tom Brady come-from-behind win on the last drive of the game. But is Deshaun Watson going to make the Texans a relevant team in the AFC South?
I absolutely think so. He's got all the pieces around him. He's got a really strong defense. He just needs to kind of perform at an adequate level. And he showed in his 2 starts that he's kind of above that level. His first start against Cincinnati, he kind of didn't perform very well, was kind of out of rhythm. But this game, you saw all aspects that made him what we thought was a top draft pick. He can run. He's very mobile. Was eluding pass rushers back there, and making smart, heady decisions, which you don't see a lot out of a rookie quarterback. I think he's shown signs the past 2 weeks that he could be the quarterback for Houston in the future.
Talking about other people who have been showing that they could be a quarterback, you had Josh McCown lead the New York Jets, a team that nobody thought was really going to possibly get a win this year, come home at MetLife Stadium and hand the Dolphins a pretty dominant performance. Josh McCown throwing a 69-yard touchdown pass to Robbie Anderson, and the Jets controlling most of play. Vince, I know it's far-fetched, but is this something that, Josh McCown, maybe the Jets offense is it alive now?
I don't know if I'd go so far. I think you've got to look at the team they were playing, and Miami is a team that's in a lot worse shape than we thought going into the season. You look at their Week 1 game against Tampa Bay, they didn't play. Week 2 last week against San Diego, they needed a missed 41-yard field goal at the end of the game to walk out of there with a win. And this Jay Cutler, first 2 weeks of the season, the experiment's not working so far. They've got a lot of tools there, but that team is just really in shambles. Add on to that the Lawrence Timmons just dilemma that's going on. No one really knows what's going on there. There's lack of authority and whatever you want to call it. Kudos to the Jets for getting the victory, but I think the bigger problems lie with the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, so also now kind of bringing it a little more local for us, we have the Washington Redskins taking on a very hot Oakland Raiders team that many project to be at the top of the AFC, possibly even AFC West champions, now that is such an intense division. But Kirk Cousins and the Redskins showing that they are not irrelevant, or they are still relevant in the NFC East, especially because I feel the NFC East will be one of the more difficult divisions, probably that and the AFC West on both sides of the ball. But are the Redskins here to stay? Could the Redskins win this very tough division?
I definitely think so. I think it's kind of funny. Last week we were talking about how in shambles the NFC was, and it kind of came back with a vengeance this week with teams performing really well, like the Redskins. They're sitting at 2-1 now. They've looked really good the past 2 weeks. And Kirk Cousins has shown over the past couple of years that he can be an elite level quarterback. They won't pay him elite level money, but he's got weapons around him to make it happen. And that division is going to be really tough. I don't know if I'd say Washington has the chops to win it, but they can certainly contend late in the season.
Very, very quickly before we run out of time, matchup of the week, Week 4.
I think it's going to be interesting. Raiders and Broncos both coming off kind of surprising losses. We'll see how they bounce back. They're the 4 o'clock game next week.
And I've got to go Los Angeles Rams, Dallas. I think that'll be a very interesting matchup. 2 very young quarterbacks with a lot to prove. But anyway, that's all the time we have for this segment of Going for 2. More SportsZone coming to you after this. Hello, welcome back to SportsZone. This is our college football segment. Once again, joined alongside by Vince Salandra. It looks like we're going to be doing all the football this year for everybody here. We're going to be kicking it off and touching it down. So we'll be very interested to see how that goes. But anyway, lots going on in the world of college football, as always. Starting off Thursday, you had USF, as we were talking about before the segment, the University of South Florida Charlie Strongs, not the Bulls, the Charlie Strongs, taking to Temple 43-7. Vince, is USF legit this year?
I mean, they're in a pretty poor conference, so it's easy to say that they can rack up a lot of wins, but do I think they'll be competitive, sort of if they make it into those upper echelon bowl games maybe towards the end of the season? No. I think they've got easy enough conference where they can keep on knocking out teams like Temple, like those teams in the Big East. But in terms of lasting power, no, I don't think this team is for real.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, that's for sure. They're now sitting at number 18 in the Associated Press poll. Wow, we would have thought an American athletic team would be sitting 18 in the AP poll. Swinging to the upper end of the poll, you have Alabama absolutely demolishing Vanderbilt 59-0 in Bryant-Denny. Just an absolute display of force for Alabama. And you have Clemson taking care of business at home against Boston College 34-7. And you had Oklahoma winning a little bit more of a interesting game, 40-30 against Baylor. And then the highlight game of the week, definitely in my opinion, Penn State last-minute game-winning drive, walk-off-the-field game-winning drive in Iowa City against the Iowa Hawkeyes. Vince, take us through how Penn State and Trace McSorley squeaked this one out.
That last drive was a thing of beauty. They had really stalled all game, and it was a case of their offense against Iowa's defense, which played really well. But then in a crunch, when they needed it most, a minute and a half left in the game, they go 80 yards down the field, 12 plays,
They really ran a nice play. Trace McSorley, the quarterback, wasn't really able to get too much going, and really up to that point in the game before that final drive really hadn't had a good game at all. But I think that shows a sign of a good player. Your team really needs you. They needed that drive for not just the win in that game, but really to remain legitimate in terms of the playoff, in terms of the Big Ten. A lot was riding on that game, a lot of pressure on that final drive, and a hostile environment there in Iowa City for sure, and they were able to get the job done.
But could that mean that Penn State, only beating Iowa by 2, and Iowa's not necessarily, the premier team of the Big Ten? Does this show maybe necessarily to college coaches who are voting for polls and the Associated Press that maybe Penn State's not as good as everybody thinks they are, and sitting at number 4 is maybe not where they should be?
I mean, I think it might hurt them a little bit, but you have teams like Alabama who are playing FCS teams right now, so the score lines are going to be a little bit lopsided there. I think kudos, Penn State should get a little more credit than maybe they will, because they're playing a team, Iowa, that was 3-0 coming in. They're playing a conference game, whereas a lot of these teams are playing non-conference teams against who might classify as cupcakes. So I think, maybe if this continues to be a trend, absolutely they may be looked unfavorably on, but I think in the context of that game, I think, where they are in the rankings is about right.
Yeah, especially Big Ten, SEC, much of the Power 5 conference play, if it has not already started, will be starting this week. So you'll see a lot more conference games coming to you in your beautiful homes. Swinging to a little bit more of a shocking upset, you had the number 6 Oklahoma State Cowboys fall to TCU, the Horned Frog, getting it done on the road. Vince, what happened with Oklahoma State? 44-31 loss to TCU.
I think we talked about it a little bit last week. Some of these Big 12 teams that get the inflated rankings and maybe aren't as good as they thought they were. I think I may have even said in our broadcast, Oklahoma State a little bit too high at number 6. Their quarterback was coming off a great week against Pitt. Pitt's football team's not very good right now. He put up 500 yards, and everyone's hailing him as the next Heisman candidate. But you got to put back-to-back performances together. And TCU, they've been a good team for a while. I think they probably will see the duration of the season in between that, 15 and 20 type ranking. But I think now we're kind of seeing things to normalize a little bit, and we're going to see those 5 and 6 teams that are really elite and which teams are just sort of pretenders.
Yeah, right now you still have Oklahoma sitting at number 3 in the rankings, but again, when it comes, especially around the conference championship time, and Big 12 not having that conference championship game, that could be very interesting, and that could potentially hurt Oklahoma, even though they've been playing very good football. Then you had Florida State, which seems like the wheels have fallen off the bus since DeAndre Francois has gotten hurt. They lost this week. Vince, are we calling Florida State done for this year, because Francois was supposed to be a Heisman contender?
Yeah, I think you got to call time to death on this Seminoles team. They 0-2 started the season. They're week 2 or week 3, I guess, in college football. Their game canceled or postponed due to the hurricane. Everything that can possibly go wrong for this team seems to go wrong, which is really unfortunate, because this was supposed to be DeAndre Francois' breakout year, and it's really, the wheels have come off the bus a little bit for Florida State. I don't think there's a way for them to come back.
I'd absolutely agree with you wholeheartedly. Swinging to one more upset, you had Oregon. Just after they cracked into the top 25, they got knocked out. Arizona State taking to them in the desert, 37-35. Lots of interesting matchups this week coming up. My personal favorite, I have to look at Auburn, Mississippi State. The Cowbells are going to be going crazy. It'll be very interesting to see. But Vince, who do you have going into Week 5 being the marquee matchup?
But you got to have the top 15 matchup between Clemson and Virginia Tech and Wayne Stadium in Blacksburg. That stadium's going to be rocking. You got Josh Jackson and Kelly Bryant, 2 dynamic mobile quarterbacks. Expect to see a lot of points on the board there.
I'd have to agree with you. I think it'll be very interesting. Dabo Swinney coming into Blacksburg. This is the first time that both teams have been ranked in the top 15 in some time. But anyway, that's all the time we have for this college football segment. More SportsZone coming to you after this.
Hello, welcome back to SportsZone. This is our NBA segment, Throwing It Up. I'm Kristen. This is my first and probably last time on the NBA segment. I'm joined alongside by Stephen A. Smith. And we have a lot of basketball to catch up on. We weren't here the whole summer. A lot went down. So I'm going to throw it right over to you. I want to know what you think about the current situation with the New York Knicks. Take it away.
Well, Kristen, that's a long story to go through. We can go through from 2000, from Patrick Ewing being traded, to 17 years now, 1 playoff victory in 17 years. it's been a tough time as a Knicks fan, you know. But you know, there's some good this summer. Phil Jackson got fired, yay! You know, round of applause. He did draft that kid from French, Neil Aquina, before getting fired 2 days later. You know, Knicks dysfunction as normal. Melo wants out. Melo got out. We all thought he was going to Houston. I thought he was going with CP3 and James Harden. You know, shocked the world went to OKC. You know, my dear friend. I am happy Melo was out of New York. It was just time. I know he loves it. I know he loves the bright lights. I know he loves his money. You know, I'm sad to see Melo's time end though. You know. It was a good six and a half years. Came to Denver. His whole Knick career was just. I'm sorry, Kristen. This gets me emotional.
Okay, so my question for you now is, how do you think the Knicks are going to adjust to not having Carmelo Anthony on the roster? How do you think Kristaps Porzingis is going to step into the leadership role now that he is going to be the star of this team?
It's hard to say. Look, on the trade perspective, they got what they could from Melo. Out of the five big name players that got traded between the All-Star break and the summer, I would say the Knicks got probably the third best deal out of there. The Bulls trading for Jimmy Butler, that was a terrible deal. You had the Gordon Hayward loss, pretty much that was a trade, didn't work out. DeMarcus Cousins, great trade for the Kings. They got their #1 draft pick, Buddy Hield, really good. Kyrie trade, Cleveland got that Brooklyn pick, great trades. The Knicks are really the third best trade, but that was mostly because of the no trade clause given by Phil Jackson. That man. And his devaluing of Carmelo. Once again, he should not be named. You know, he's Voldemort in the Knicks lore. But you know, they got Cantor, McDermott, the second round picks from the Bulls, which should be top half, second round, should be, you know, a prospect that falls this draft. It should be a deep draft like last year. In terms of the direction, I'm happy we're starting the Kristaps era. You know, as Stephen A., I was not a big fan of when we drafted him, but you know, I've come to love the man like a brother.
Absolutely.
That's my man. But, you know, I'm excited to see what he does. It's going to be an adjustment. The team's going to struggle. It's not a good defensive team. He's going to struggle. I wouldn't be surprised if his shooting percentage went down as his points went up, but that's mostly because he still has a very small frame, even though his lower body has greatly improved, as you saw if you watched the Euro basketball championships like I am, because I'm a basketball junkie. But in terms of moving forward, it's going to be it's a development year. It's going to be really similar to what the Mets and what the Yankees have tried to do recently. The Knicks are finally committed to a rebuild, which I like. They have a logjam at center with Cantor, Noah, O'Quinn, Hernan Gomez. Good Lord, there's a lot of centers. Yeah, and then you got Neil Aquina. So the focus of this year should be on the younger players and then trading away the veteran assets that we have. So I expect to see Courtney Lee get traded at some point over the next year or two. Yeah, I know that.
My heart will break.
I love that man. And you're going to have to see Cantor or Quinn or even Hernan Gomez, but I can't see that because they still have to repair that relationship with Kristaps, the front office does, and you can't trade his best friend away. That would be cruel and unusual, but not unlike the Knicks. So I'm not going to put that past them, you know. But moving forward, this is going to be about a 3-year process, which is actually a lot better than it could have been because they got Porzingis. If they had to find, you know, that superstar in waiting, it would be a lot longer. 3 years, I think they'll be back in playoff contention if they do everything right. If they function like a functional organization, Steve Mills let Scott Perry do everything. I'm sorry, I just spit. Everything. Like, seriously, let that man run the organization because he knows what he's doing. He made the Kings relevant again. Like, the Kings are functional. Let the man do his job and we'll be okay. You got a strong draft coming up. I expect to have a top pick. I expect to have the top pick. We're gonna suck for Luka Duda, out of Slovenia. Knicks fans are going to be accustomed to that name. We're going to be on YouTube a lot because it's not going to be an enjoyable year as a Knicks fan. It's going to be at best a 20, 25 win team. Probably going to finish bottom 6 in the league. If they do it right, there's a small chance they can make the playoffs because the East is just trash this year. It's just a bunch of garbage except for Cleveland and Boston. But the Knicks' future is bright with Porzingis as long as they stay healthy. As long as Nia Keelan shows improvement from the start of this year to the end of this year, he's going to struggle early on. He's not Malcolm Brogdon coming out. He's not LeBron James coming out. He's going to struggle. Think of Giannis Antetokounmpo his first year, only averaged about 10 points a game, and then progressively got better. It's going to be that type of arc. It's going to be a 3-4 year thing before we see his option payout. Don't rush me, Vince. I see the lights flickering. Don't rush me. So yeah, I'm hopeful. There's hope. We have hope, and that's because we traded the Dark Knight of the city and got the White Knight in Porzingis.
Okay, yeah. So we have a little bit more to get to on this segment. I completely agree with what you said. I think it's definitely going to be an adjustment year for the Knicks with Porzingis stepping into his newfound role as the star of the team. I think it's definitely going to be a process for him to get there. But he did credit Carmelo Anthony for being a great mentor to him. So hopefully everything that he's learned from playing alongside a great player like Carmelo will help him to be successful as the leader of the team going forward. So transitioning away from the Knicks, I want to get your take on Dwayne Wade rejoining forces with his old teammates. How do you think he's going to impact that team?
It's gonna be. He's a really good addition. He's gonna bring championship pedigree. I don't know how the spacing is gonna work, as Wade is not a good outside shooter. But we get the reincarnation of the greatest photo of all time in the NBA. Dwayne going like this, LeBron dunking. Love that photo. It's gonna be my new wallpaper since I need a new one since Melo's gone. But it should be good. I don't know. I think Wade should come off the bench. He's probably going to start due to his pedigree and his relationship with LeBron. I don't see how this affects their chances beating the Warriors. They have a better shot now. I could see it being a 6 or 7 game series. If the Warriors are healthy with Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and then they're Nick Young and Omar Caspi, don't sleep on him. There's too much firepower, and they're all still so young over there. It's going to take something catastrophic for the Warriors not to win and repeat. But we should see the Warriors versus Cavs again in the finals for the 4th year. Yeah.
All right, so that is all the time we have today for this edition of Throwing It Up. I'm Kristen. This is Justin. We will keep you updated as we get closer to basketball season. It's going to be a little bit, but stay tuned for more SportsZone after this.
Hello and welcome back to SportsZone. This is another edition of AU Insiders. I'm joined by Ryan Siegel. Notice the trend, we've been together a lot this show. We'll keep it going with some AU-related athletic news. 3 teams in action this past weekend. I think we'll start with the field hockey team we touched on last week. They were highly ranked. They, on Friday, were able to get a victory on the road in the Patriot League, but they came home on Sunday, losing in overtime to Penn, 3-2. Steve Jennings' crew is back in action next weekend. Ryan, I'll just ask you shortly, is this loss a major setback for this team?
Absolutely not. UPenn and Ivy League field hockey as a whole is normally very highly touted, very, very competitive, especially with Princeton normally going deep and Princeton being kind of the team to beat. And the Eagles have played Princeton in the past. But I would say UPenn, they're also one of the top 4 teams when it comes to Ivy League field hockey. So I really don't think that's a setback. They played very well on Friday in the Patriot League. So I think that, they're playing teams that are nationally ranked, and they are doing well against teams that are nationally ranked. So I think that the lone nationally ranked team that we have right now with women's field hockey, I think this is not a setback at all. I think they'll be just fine going into next weekend. Steve Jennings will have them ready to go.
Yeah, I think they've now fully rounded out their non-conference play, so it's Patriot League action the rest of the way for Steve Jennings' crew. We'll keep an eye on them as the season progresses, and hopefully they stay in the rankings, because that is always good to see the teams on campus doing well. We'll jump from on the field to on the court. Volleyball team was in action one game this past week. They opened up Patriot League play against Loyola on Friday, were victorious in 3 sets. Barry Goldberg as you touched on, was probably going to go with Kennedy Etheridge. He gave her the start. She played the whole game. Made a couple lineup changes. He wasn't particularly happy with the way the team played after. Thought they were a little bit sloppy. They have a big week coming up, 3 road games against Navy, Holy Cross, and Army. Ryan, do you think they can work out the kinks a little bit? This seems to be a big week for them.
Yeah, Barry's also a little bit of a perfectionist, as we know. Barry Goldberg, to the naked eye, for the casual volleyball fan, you'll watch, they'll be up 3-0. They'll win pretty handedly in all 3 sets. And Barry Goldberg finds a way to make sure, or find something in their game that's just not all together. But I think that they'll be just fine in Patriot League, especially with 3 big matchups kind of swinging up north in the northern end of the Patriot League this weekend. I think they'll be just fine. I think Kennedy Etheridge did well. I think, Megan Donahue and Cheyenne Orsay, their main 2 outside hitters, are playing very good volleyball. Donahue leading the team right now in service aces, and Huakali Dawson also doing well as outside hitter. I think Kennedy Etheridge is a setter. I think it was probably the right decision. She also played very well against Zhejiang when the Chinese volleyball club came. And also, since that happened last week, I really think they played a very solid game for playing a professional volleyball team. We saw, 2 double challenges in a game that we thought they were never going to happen. And, I think that Barry Goldberg's team is more than ready, especially after how they played last Tuesday and how they played this weekend. I think they're more than ready to be for this weekend coming up in the Patriot League.
And the volleyball team has a lot of firepower in the form of Alexandra Kazala. She is 10th at last reckoning. She was 10th in the nation in kills per set at about 4.8. So they've got a lot of firepower there. Kennedy Etheridge has got the setting figured out. So hopefully the Eagles can sort of continue the upward trend and see their record sort of see what it has been the past couple of years. So we'll transition to the men's sports. Men's soccer this season has been a bit of a struggle. They lost their Patriot League opener to BU on Hispanic Heritage Night, Heritage Day. I guess we don't play night games at Reeves Field. And I think the big takeaway for the men's soccer team, 3 goals in their 10-plus games this season. I've asked you this question on Studio 90. I'm going to ask it maybe a little bit more eloquently now, but what is going on with the men's soccer team?
I think it's a lot of youth and inexperience. I mean, you talk to Todd West after games, and Todd even mentions they only have 2 seniors on that team. You're relying a lot on Vinny Barone's experience, and as much as great of a player as Vinny is, he can't carry the team himself. You're relying a lot on guys like Max Holdworth and Brenner, yes. And you're pretty much relying on those 2 guys who are both freshmen and sophomores respectively to carry this team. I think it'll be very interesting. I think as they kind of progress, I think in the next 2 years, you'll see a return to form for the Eagles. But I think it's just a lot of youth and inexperience. And, it's a rebuilding year.
And so we'll just touch on the women's soccer team real quickly. They play at home on Wednesday. You can hear the voice of AU women's soccer, Ryan Siegel, on the call. We'll check in on how they did next week and mop up all the other AU athletic action next week on AU Insiders, but stick around for more SportsZone after this.
Hello, welcome back to SportsZone. This is everybody's favorite segment, Thumbles, Thumbs Up, Thumbs Down, where we talk about the good, the bad, and sometimes ugly in the world of sports and the world at large. So I'm going to kick it off. Thumbs up to the New York Jets. We are not going 0-16, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. Hot take. We're not going 0-16. But 1-15, we're stinking for Sam. That's the whole reason. Knowing the Jets will pick a defensive tackle. So we'll get back to you on that. Thumbs up to the fact that hockey is around the corner. Pretty much I'm giddy with excitement. It's going to be quite a season. Hopefully the Rangers actually win a Stanley Cup this year. That would make my life complete-ish, whatever. Thumbs up to the fact that I am, as Vince said during AU Insiders, calling my first game on Patriot League Network on Stadium. The AU women's soccer team against Navy. I'm very excited and very humbled to be doing so. And I want to thank Dan personally for getting me involved with it. So Dan, wherever you are, thank you. So, time to rant. Thumbs down to Jake Elmsley because he sucks. Also, I'm going to thumbs middle to Jessica because she kind of got thrown under the bus because Jake pretty much tried to force her to like something. So I'm going to thumbs middle her. I'm going to thumbs up the fact that she didn't like it, but thumbs down the fact that she was even put in this position. So that's why she's getting a thumb. She's getting a thumbs middle. So Jessica, however you feel about that, sorry for putting you on the spot with that. Thumbs down to our advanced TV video production class today. Found out work that I was stressing about. Then was not being graded. So, thankfully it was not graded. I don't think it was my best work. But also, double, triple thumbs down to the Kennedy Center today. And I am saying it here first. They approved and gave me permission to shoot and then took it away 3 different times in 90 minutes. I could have gotten another story and it would have been great, but I had to sit at the Kennedy Center for 90 minutes for somebody to figure out whether or not I was allowed to shoot a Leonard Bernstein 100-year exhibit. I just want to see where the guy wrote West Side Story. Why are we having such a big problem with this? Kennedy Center, figure it out. You had a Board of Trustees meeting today. Figure it out. All I have to say on that subject. Anyway, I'm going to step aside. I'm going to throw it over to Vince.
All right. So we'll go thumbs up to this new thumbs configuration. I don't think it'll last because hopefully we'll have more people going forward, but this eliminates the sliding issues that we've had in our storied history here at SportsZone since we started sliding a season ago. We'll go thumbs up, fresh in my mind. Arsenal getting a victory today over West Brom. Alexandra Lacazette getting a brace today. They looked kind of bad, but they won, so, can't fault that. We'll go thumbs down to the Steelers. They lost to the Chicago Bears, and they've been playing terrible for 3 weeks, so they pretty much deserved this. I'm going to go thumbs down to Le'Veon Bell. I'm putting a lot of blame on you with your stupid holdout from training camp, coming in out of shape, not ready to perform. We look one-dimensional because Antonio Brown's the only good player on our offense right now, and they can just clue in and double-team him, and none of the other receivers can do anything. Le'Veon Bell can get 50 yards a game. He's not dynamic. He's not a threat. We're so one-dimensional. The defensive line can't control the line of scrimmage at all. They let Jordan Howard, who's a basic no-name, run for 170 yards. Some rookie ran for 80 yards. They gave up 250 yards rushing to the Chicago Bears. It's just awful. Even the special teams, they allowed a blocked field goal. Just an absolutely pitiful performance from the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it's Baltimore week this week, and they're gonna get. It's not looking good. Not looking good. And after that, I feel like I need to end on a positive. We'll go thumbs up to the volleyball team won over the weekend. That was exciting. We'll throw a thumbs up to Ryan calling his first game for AU Athletics. I'm sure it'll be an exciting game. Women's soccer playing Navy. Hopefully this is a trend to continue, and he will be the new voice of AU women's soccer. And hopefully a more
AU scores a goal.
That would be nice. I'll kick it over to Jessica now.
I'm gonna thumbs up Champions League being back tomorrow. I'll thumbs down Seattle Seahawks for losing over the weekend. I'll thumbs up Ryan for his new job announcing the AU women's game. I'm gonna thumbs down Jake for putting me in that awkward position. And yeah, Kristen.
Alright, I'm going to give it a thumbs up to the MLB playoffs coming up right around the corner. We have wildcard games next week, which is super exciting. I'm excited to watch them. I'll give a thumbs down to my New York Giants for losing again over the weekend. It's embarrassing at this point. We got to get a win. The Jets have a win. How do the Giants not have a win? Come on. I'm going to also give a thumbs up to Ryan. Everyone else did, but I'm going to go off of that as well. Congratulations. Really proud of you. So happy that you're going to be doing that. You're going to be great at it. And I'll give a sad thumbs down to Carmelo Anthony leaving the Knicks. I am super sad about it. It's devastating. They got nothing back for it. And he's the reason that I really got into Knicks basketball, why I love watching basketball in New York. So I'm really going to miss watching him play for the team that I root for. I think that he was great for them and I enjoyed it. So thumbs down to that. Sad to see him go. And that's all we have for this week of SportsZone. I'll do thank yous. Thank you to Ryan, Vince, Jessica. Cody was here. Dan did his alumni segment earlier. So thank you to everyone who was here.
That was all alumni.
I said Aviva. Did I say Aviva?
No.
Oh, okay. Thank you to Aviva as well. Aviva was here. Christine stopped by as well. So thank you for everyone who was here, and thank you for watching. And this has been SportsZone.
Last week we talked about 4 teams that have already punched their ticket to the postseason. So this week we're gonna name a few that are just
It's okay.
Sorry. What? I don't even know how to.
Okay, so you could say like,
Sorry.
Ryan,
I'm so sorry.
relax.
I know. Are you going to Malala tonight?
Oh my god.
We will. Okay, sorry. 4 are ready, and we're gonna talk about a few that
Have
have recently
gotten it.
Good. Okay, I'm ready. People, I'm ready.
I hate you.
Sorry. Okay, I'm ready.
Alright, it's probably still rolling, so
Okay.
just start.
Okay, sorry. I'm ready.
Weird. Like I can't keep looking at that. Weird. Like it's freaking me out, guys. It's freaking me out. Jessica, what are you doing? What are you doing? What like where are you? What are you doing? Oh, by the way, so story time. So Saturday we come. First of all, a big thank you to University of Richmond for their hospitality. They were fantastic.
Facility.
What? Well, we were playing them, and then actually VCU. So our game got moved 2 hours earlier, which was awesome. So like a 7:30 game on a Saturday where we thought we were getting home by midnight. We got home. Game started at 5:10, so we got home at 10 o'clock. It's like Saturday night. Saturday still for the boys. So. We're going through, so I get back, and we return like our rental van, so it's like now maybe 10:45, 11 o'clock, and right as I'm about to I drop off my roommate, I'm about to go pick up Cody Cohen. Come on. Yeah, there's also a monitor here, so in case people at home, we're looking here too. Just trying to make sure like the shot looks good and everything while we're in between on commercial break here. So, needless to say, I have to explain to the people at home, all 20 people that watch this thing, with 10 of them being us. So I was walking home, or I was like, parked my car. I'm trying to figure out how the hell I was supposed to say.
Story's really stalling here. Really stalling.
That was a stall warning for Frisbee people out there. Hey, you Frisbee. Stall 11. Don't think I know what that means. So all of a sudden I see this large crowd of people walking towards my house, and I'm like they better not be coming to my house. We have the ability to bleep, right? Do we have the ability to bleep? Can we bleep?
We can bring down the audio.
We can do the little pen tool thing, down and up. Cool. All right. So yeah, I see I would say rough estimate 23. Actually, that's probably more than that.
It's a very specific estimate. I would say probably 21 and a half people.
So anyway, we're going through it, and I'm across the street because I wasn't able to pull in my driveway. They were like everywhere. So you had the people. We're still in the time of year, ladies and gentlemen at home, where freshmen go out to parties with their entire floor. Like one person gets the invite, 25 people from the floor show up. Tell me when I'm wrong.